Welcome to the Real Film Chatter Podcast, episode 63 from July 10th, 2016.
Shut up and sit down.
In this episode of Real Film Chatter, we're going to be talking the BFG's performance and what it means for Steven Spielberg's career. Scott Eastwood joins Pacific Rim 2. Disney officially announces Wreck-It Ralph 2. Is Legendary gearing up to make a Warcraft sequel? And what's happening this year at San Diego Comic-Con and Hall H? All this and so much more in a brand new episode of Real Film Chatter. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this brand new episode of Real Film Chatter.
Hello, cinephiles, and welcome to Real Film Chatter, real news for real fans. I'm your host, Sarah Bard, and this is our weekly show where we talk about all the recent movie news with real passion. Joining me on the show today, the creator of Real Film Chatter, Patrick Campbell.
Hey everyone, it's good to be back. I always love to be here. I'm glad that my hosts are as well because we've all been playing Pokemon Go and I've been having a hard time tracking everyone down. I think we have a problem, and I'm okay with that. Also, we do not deserve Steven Spielberg. The BFG was magnificent.
And also joining us today, the artist formerly known as the Talking Can, Andy Comer.
I almost hit a Tauros with my car last night, and I didn't catch it, and it's still out there. So if you see a wounded Tauros, it's probably mine. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all have a problem. I was driving around all morning after work, just in my town, going to the different Poke Centers and catching as much as I can while I was in my car. I was driving around parking lots, going in circles. It was horrible.
Well,
A lot of these places are in really, like, a lot of those gyms and stuff are in really weird places.
Yeah.
Last night, I was sitting in a parking lot of a cemetery, and there was 4 other guys on their phones. We're all laughing at each other.
Yeah.
We all know that we're there for the gym.
oh my goodness.
So we're all fighting each other while we're in separate cars.
Well, this week, I actually, Patrick's poor mother, I made her drive all around this parking lot trying to get closer to this gym. And she was like, I was like, nope, gotta keep going. Nope, gotta get nope, gotta get closer.
Yeah, I went up to a Catholic church today that was up in the middle of nowhere, and I was up there trying to battle the gym leader. It was ridiculous. I've been having way too much fun, man. I feel like we're weird, but I can't wait till we get to Comic-Con and all the people are going to be playing Pokemon Go there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be ridiculous.
It's going to be awesome.
Oh, also, did you guys see that there's a Pokemon at the bottom of the Grand Canyon?
No.
Yeah, so somehow we all have to get to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and find out what's at the bottom, because I want to know. I need to know.
Yeah.
Someone said that, but
What?
wait, what did you find out?
That
Who
there's
is
a
your source?
there's a Pokemon apparently at the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
I feel
Like
like
a
it's
special
great.
one?
Yeah,
Like Lugia?
maybe. That'd be awesome if it was Lugia.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's just it's just Snorlax that's like sitting on like the thing that would fill, like the water that would fill it.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure we could talk about Pokemon Go forever, but Andy, can you bring us into the box office numbers?
Yep, and I believe I have the correct ones this week. Good
Yay!
There you go. So I don't need you, Diego.
Diego hated us. He didn't want to be here this week.
That's okay.
Yeah, that son of a yeah. Okay, so the box office for July 4th weekend. I hope that you guys all had a awesome weekend. I know that I did, and if you don't believe me, you should just look at my Snapchat from a few days ago or my my Facebook, because I got a lot of pictures, some of which I do not remember. Anyway,
Perfect.
4th of July, 4-day. This is the 4-day. This is not the 3-day, just to be clear. Number 1, Finding Dory brought in another $51 million. Legend of Tarzan in its first week, I got 46.5. Purge election year got 36. BFG got 22 and just over half. Independence Day Resurgence stuck around in the top 5 for 21.5. Central Intelligence got just under 15.5. The Shallows was at 10.5. Free State of Jones got just over 5. The Conjuring got 4.5. And to round out the top 10, Now You See Me 2, just under $4 million in its 4th week.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
So I've got a lot of stuff that I have to think about, and the BFG thing we're really going to kind of talk about later. I'm really disappointed that it did so poorly, but I blame Disney's marketing on that. I'm happy to see Alice is finally out of the top 10. Thank God. And I'm sad to see that Independence Day on 4th of July weekend couldn't even crack the top 3. Like, what the hell? That makes me sad. And I'm happy to see Tarzan actually did way better than anyone was expecting with the $43 million. It's still a disappointment of sorts because the movie was made for $180 million, but if it doesn't have a steep fall this weekend, it may actually have decent legs, and that'll be good for Warner Brothers.
Yeah, Alice is actually 20th this week.
Jesus.
Oh, wow, it dropped that.
Finally.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Jungle Book is still making more.
That's incredible. It's been out for almost 3 months.
Yeah. The thing that surprised me the most, I would say, is that Independence Day is not making much at all. But besides that, it was that The Shallows is sticking around with a 10. This is its 2nd or 3rd week. But yeah, I thought that I never thought that this movie would make its money back regardless, and it's already more than doubled just in America. I don't know if it's going internationally, but yeah, that's a great movie. You guys should see that if you haven't, by the way. But yeah, that's my biggest surprise right now.
My biggest surprise is, I'm surprised the Free State of Jones movie, that it's just the fact that it's even on the board. I think it's awesome that people are going out to watch it. But I still want to see Now You See Me 2 and Finding Dory.
Yeah, we're behind on the Finding Dory thing.
Fun fact, every time I see or hear Free State, I always think it's saying Free State of Jonas for some reason. I don't know why. Every time someone says Jones, I'm like, oh yeah, that is the title.
I still feel like Free State of Jones ended up with a bad release date. It doesn't feel like a summer movie. It feels out of place. It should have been a late August, early September release because I think it would have carried better. There's way too much competition right now. I am surprised that it even cracked the top 10, especially considering its reviews. So, I mean, it's good to see it doing well for itself, but it's still kind of a bummer because I think it could have done much better at a different date.
I agree. Yeah.
And I think that's go ahead, Andy.
No, go ahead. I had something to say about something else.
Oh, I was going to say, I feel like it's the same exact thing that the BFG also faced. I think it needed a different release date.
Probably, yeah, definitely. I'm going to change my biggest surprise. Looking at numbers outside of the top 10, Swiss Army Man is number 11.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It is only in 636 theaters and made $1.5 million.
That's incredible.
I actually have never heard of that.
That's the new Daniel
Never heard of
Radcliffe
Swiss
movie.
Army Man?
Mm-mm.
I really want to see
Follow
it.
me on Twitter?
I do.
Swiss Army Man is the best movie of this year, hands down. It is the 8th best movie since 2000.
Oh, nice. Right on.
I really do want to see it. I'm dying to. I know it finally made its way up here, so we're going to have to go check it out because
Definitely.
Sacramento doesn't get as much when it comes to movies as Los Angeles did, which is starting to drive me crazy.
That's true.
I'm so used to being able to go see anything at any time that it's really hurting, and it's driving me nuts. I am going to say I think that Independence Day not really having a hold at all is very interesting, and it's really playing into what we've been talking about over the last few weeks about the idea of it's not necessarily that sequels don't perform well when you see Finding Dory was number 1 3 weekends in a row, but it's actually that I guess people just don't want lazy sequels, which is not surprising. But I actually didn't find Independence Day necessarily lazy so much as I just found it badly edited.
Yeah, definitely.
I found it highly entertaining.
Yeah, I did too. And I'm not saying it's great, but it was entertaining.
Yeah.
So it's just a very interesting scenario. I really thought it was going to do better on the July 4th weekend. Maybe they should have released it on July 4th weekend, but
It was really funny. This guy was talking about how like it was such a disappointing like opening weekend for Independence Day Resurgence, and I started tweeting him about it. I'm like, you have to also consider. I'm like, you have to consider the fact that of like for adjustment. And I was telling him like how much it cost and how much the first one made and all this stuff. And I was telling him the numbers, and he's like, but that makes it even worse. I'm like, I didn't say it was going to make it better. I'm just telling you, you have to, if you're going to argue this, like you have to do it legit. Like
yeah,
you're going to compare it to a movie 20 years ago. And I'm like, I wasn't trying to argue that Resurgent should be like, is technically making money. It's tanking worse than you thought is my point.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't get that until afterwards. And it was just really funny.
But it's true. It's doing way worse than anyone could have expected because it is. I mean, the original was a movie that held the audience for a long time.
So good.
And we actually, one of my traditions, obviously, every July 4th is I watch Independence Day. So we watched it as a family, and I'm sitting there watching it, and, you know, it clocks in about 2.5 hours. And, the build up to the invasion is so good. And in the new one,
the first one is an hour.
I know.
Yeah.
And you don't see Will Smith until 20 minutes into the movie. And then most of the characters don't even come together until an hour 20. But,
crazy.
I mean, and I was actually paying attention to that because, there is something special about the first movie. There really is. And so I'm sitting there watching it as it goes along, and I'm realizing that the edit that they have for this new one is just not very good. And the buildup is so perfect in the first one that I wish the second had. And I guess Roland Emmerich's like, yeah, we have an extended cut that's 7 minutes longer.
7?
Only 7, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm going, did you guys just not script enough? Which makes me actually wonder what the script looked like.
Right.
Because, I was entertained by it, but when you compare it to the first one and you watch it that way, and you see the way that it builds and the way the characters are written, the way it all comes together, that the second one doesn't have that. And I was really hoping that it would. And now I'm wondering, what the hell did you guys film? Because it doesn't... The trailers sold the movie better than the movie turned out. And I would have liked to see a cut that was 2.5 hours. I felt like there was at least 30 minutes cut out of it the way it plays.
Well, yeah, those 30 minutes are going to go into the sequel that's not going to come because it's tanking.
Yeah, I mean, unless it does... It's actually doing fairly well for itself overseas.
In China?
Yeah.
Where movies go to live?
Yeah, and that's what it is. I mean, that's exactly what's happening, and we're actually going to talk about that in a little bit. But, I mean, the movie was number 1 last weekend, I think, worldwide, and it's doing fairly well for itself. I mean, if it continues to do well-ish enough for itself, I could see them doing a second one, or the third one, just to, do it. But the other thing I'm thinking is, you guys have been hearing that Emmerich has been talking about how he wants to reboot Stargate now. Leave it the hell alone. Don't touch Stargate. Leave Stargate as it is. Emmerich, I liked his older movies. Dude, leave it alone. No, don't touch it. Please, for the love of God, don't touch Stargate.
But it's not like they won't.
Sorry. Go on.
No, it's not like they won't, though. I mean, nostalgia's so big. I mean, people are going back to the well with everything. I mean, let's bring Shrek back. Let's bring Stargate back. Let's do...
Andy, what were you going to say?
Kurt Russell back.
Okay. If you bring Kurt Russell back, I'm all about it, but Emmerich can't direct. He can produce it, but he can be nowhere near the director's chair.
What if Kurt Russell refuses to be in it unless he's in it?
Then just kill me. Because I just don't want Stargate. I don't want Stargate with Emmerich directing. I had hope. I was super excited. If you go back to the other podcast, when we were talking about the Stargate reboot, I was all about it. I was like, man, Emmerich is awesome. I love him so much. I think he'd do great going back to Star Trek. I think Independence Day is going to show him at his, finest. And that did not happen with the Independence Day sequel at all. So I have no real hope that he could actually do Stargate correctly. And it really bums me out.
But the real question is what if Emmerich was tapped to direct The Rocketeer?
Do you hate me? Do you want me to die? Do you want to kill me?
Oh my god.
Dude, you just like tore my heart out. You might as well have been like, man, what if Michael Bay directed The Rocketeer?
You
no.
said that. That's on you.
Yeah.
That is on your...
But Emmerich is just as bad right now. And you know that I like Bay. You know I like Bay when
if
he's...
If he was as bad as Bay, Independence Day would have been twice as bad and would have made 5 times as much money.
And it would have been at least twice longer.
Oh my goodness.
But it's true.
Just so Andy doesn't chop up any more Patrick's childhood dreams, can we move on to real news clip?
Yes,
Yep.
let's move on. Sarah, go ahead and break down the news that we have this week.
So we have a couple real news clips. It's just a couple things to go over really quick. So rumors have been swelling for years about a sequel to the Goonies, with the film coming close to happening on more than one occasion. Over the last year, that rumor mill started swirling again that Richard Donner and his Goonies cast were getting the band back together to finally make the belated sequel. But the man who brought Mouth to life, Corey Feldman, may have dashed the dreams of fans across the world, as he thinks the sequel happening is very unlikely. Speaking with MovieWeb, Feldman had this to say: Richard Donner is 87 years old, and it's like no one really wants to make it without him. He's the driving force behind it. He says it's still alive, but as we all know, when you get to that age, things slow down quite a bit. There's a big possibility that he might not want to keep driving it. So I think without him, it doesn't happen. And every day that passes that he doesn't do it, there's less and less chance that it is ever going to happen at all. End quote. Feldman also mentioned that he and co-star Sean Astin actually pitched a sequel to the studio. As I'm start quote, as I'm sure you read, Sean and I actually did create a treatment which we brought into Richard Donner, which he actually quite liked a bit. But unfortunately, he felt it was too expensive for what they had in mind. So that said, I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what that special magic recipe is that they're looking for, but I know that everyone's fear is, what are the odds of capturing magic in a bottle twice? And it's a long shot. At the end of the day, I think if everyone was going to get involved and do it, it would have to be something that was just so awe-inspiring and breathtaking that every person said, this is a home run, this is it, we've got it, this is the one. I know if that script comes in, we'll be getting that call. End quote. Andy, what do you think of Feldman's comments on a possible Goonies sequel, Andy?
They seem really like... all the Donner stuff about him being old was kind of a downer. But, like, everything else, like, I get it. Like, I think I talked to Patrick about this a couple of weeks ago. Like, I'm getting to the point where all these movies get talked about so much and so hyped about, like, stuff that's, like, gonna come out that I just don't even believe that these movies are gonna get made until I see pictures of them on set. Like, I don't want to even get invested in this because it's been started and stopped so often because the news is so easily accessible that, like, it just, like, one tweet goes out, then the whole world goes nuts thinking that's going to happen, and then they're like, oh, that got blown out of proportion. Like, you know what I mean? So I won't, like, I've gotten to the point where most of this stuff doesn't even faze me anymore because I won't believe that it's actually being made until I see something real. Since you were bringing up Feldman's quote so much, I just want to, if I see him, like, honestly, I just want to see a sequel to The Burbs. That's all I want. I think that would be even more fun because, like, then it wouldn't, like, be trampling on the Goonies, and The Burbs is fun, and if it sucks, then whatever. But it would be just funny to see all those guys.
All right. Patrick?
I'm kind of two minds here. I completely understand what Feldman is saying. I agree with Andy. I think the thing about Donner being old is a bit of a bummer. I think he went a little too far with that. That being said, maybe it's better that we don't do a sequel. I think that we've seen that not every one of the nostalgia sequel works. Obviously, Independence Day showed us that. Terminator Genesis showed us that. Unless you have the key ingredients, you can't necessarily get lightning again. You can't get lightning in a bottle twice a lot of the time. So I think it's smart, and I agree with Andy at the same time, where it's these things get rumored forever, and then eventually they just stop being rumored and they never happen. And I think that if it was ever going to happen, one, it would have by now, and two, even if they say it's finally going to happen, I'm not going to believe it unless they're shooting it. And I mean, I've read one or two, at least, of the scripts and the treatments that they had written for the sequels, and there was one, I think it was one of the ones that was in the late 90s or the early 2000s that was actually very, very good. And I liked it a lot, and I was really bummed out that they didn't go that way, and it actually dealt, Data had actually become a toy maker, and the Fratellis get out of jail, and they come after the kids. They had their own set of kids. And I thought it was a really good dynamic, and it's kind of the way that a lot of these nostalgia sequels have been going, is the passing of the torch type thing, and it was a little bit ahead of its time for that thought process, and I liked it a lot. And I think that there was that potential 10 years ago, but I think we're so past the point now that even doing a sequel to the Goonies just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, it's been 30 years. We'll be closing in on 40 before you know it. I mean, when has it become too long?
It already is.
Exactly.
Just like Avatar 2 is already too long.
I swear, I don't know if I can even sit and listen to James Cameron talk about that at Comic-Con.
It's a Q&A.
I know.
You have to make sure I stay in my seat.
Yeah, but I may be there with you is the problem.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, that's something else.
Yeah, as far as the Goonies go, the Goonies never say die, but I think I'm gonna bow out of this and say, I think enough is enough. I've heard these rumors for too long, and I'm ready to just let it go.
Oh. Well, personally, I think it would be really hard to say, like, oh, I hate nostalgia stuff, but I think it'd be easier for me to say, like, don't ruin what's already good.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like they were saying, like, if they're able to capture the magic again, and they're able to do it, and like they said, like a home run, then do it. But don't mess with what's good. And that's how I feel about it. Let's see. But we all do agree. Bummer. About Donner. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So, moving on. The Spider-Man Homecoming casting continues to roll out, with no signs of slowing down. In recent weeks, the film has added Donald Glover, Tyne Daly, Hannibal Buress, Martin Starr, amongst many others. And now the film will add one more actor to the mix, as Angourie Rice, y'all? Mm-hmm. Okay. Who had a breakout role in this summer's Shane Black film, The Nice Guys, will be joining Marvel Studios' highly anticipated film. As has been happening with much of the casting, we don't know who Rice will be playing, but many think she could be playing the Peter's eventual love interest, Gwen Stacy, opposite Tom Holland. Hopefully, we'll learn more about the film in a few weeks at San Diego Comic-Con. Yay! But if not, we'll have to wait until July 7th, 2017 to find out who Rice is playing in the film. Patrick, what do you think about Marvel adding Rice to the already stacked cast of Spider-Man Homecoming? Patrick?
I think this is perfect. I adored her in The Nice Guys. I thought she was absolutely phenomenal. She was able to go toe-to-toe with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe and stole every scene she was in. She was wonderful throughout. And I think that I kind of eyed on the side that I think she could be playing Gwen Stacy. And I think that if you're going to have someone playing Gwen, she's such the perfect role for this young Gwen. She's spunky, she's smart, she's everything that I want from that role. That being said, I don't know obviously if that's who she's playing. She could just be playing a classmate of Peter's that, of whatever. as far as the rest of the cast, I think it's interesting that out of everything, we really only know 3 people and who they're playing, and that's Tom Holland as Spider-Man. You have Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man, and you have Marissa Tomei playing Aunt May. That is literally the only 3 people in this movie that we know who they're playing. We know all these actors who are in it, but we don't know anything else about it. A lot of people are worried that the cast is getting too big for itself, with guys like Martin Starr and Donald Glover joining the cast. I actually am thinking that most of them are playing his high school teachers, which would, they're really pushing the high school aspect of the character. They're really trying to push that it feels like a John Hughes film. And I think that to have guys like Donald Glover and Martin Starr as his teachers and, as the adult figures in his life makes a lot of sense. And they're the kind of people that would really fit that John Hughes-esque tone that they're going for. And I think that it's brilliant casting so far across the board. Come on, Michael Keaton's playing the villain. It's fantastic. Adding Rice is just another notch up in my book. I can't be more excited for this until they keep adding great casts like this.
Yeah, I really like the casting choices so far. We'll see how it ends up going. Okay. Is Spider-Man able to be at the Marvel panel?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
I think that's actually going to be a big thing that will be part of the presentation, to be honest.
I was going to say, because Sony isn't... I haven't seen a panel for that yet, so I wasn't sure. It just seemed like Marvel was like, hey, you have to do this stuff, but I didn't know if they were going to be like part of the marketing or whatever at all.
I feel like they would be.
I don't know.
They're playing such good ball together. I think that at the Marvel Studios panel, it only makes sense that Spider-Man be a part of it, because it's, next summer it's going to be the only chance they have to really show any footage for the movie or hype the movie at all. I think it only makes sense to be like, hey, look, we have Guardians. Hey, look, this is Doctor Strange. Oh, hey, here's some footage from Thor because it's a shooting already. And now here's Spider-Man, I just feel like that's the obvious thing.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for this movie. It's going to be different. I know they keep saying John Hughes feel, but like I don't feel like I'm going to get that at all. I don't know why. I just feel like they're not going to, like, I don't see I hope to be wrong, but I hope I'm going to like it and everything, but like to say it's going to feel like a John Hughes movie, like I don't think that works for me. I don't know why. It just seems like it's not going to work that way, but I'm sure that I'll like it. I hope I like it, so that Diego and I can finally like a Spider-Man movie during the time that we know each other. But yeah, like there's nothing wrong with this movie yet, so like there's nothing bad for it besides like, like they lost like Keaton for a bit, and I guess they got him back, or that was just a news thing, like kind of what I was saying earlier, like stuff gets out too early and then goes away and comes back.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to see footage, and I probably only see the one trailer. I'm trying to limit my trailer seeing.
That's probably better.
But yeah, like this is gonna be a good movie because it has a good cast. Marvel has a pretty good hit streak, so yeah, let's see it.
And my personal thoughts on the Keaton thing, I've kind of said this before. I actually think that a lot of people think he's playing Vulture, which I could see. I still lean towards the fact that I think that he may actually be playing Norman Osborn. And because I know that Keaton was very weary about ever signing on for more than one movie at a time. That was a big thing for him back when he was Batman. It was a big thing when he was almost in the new Skull Island movie. I think that the multiple contract thing that Marvel makes every one of their actors sign, unless you're Michael Douglas, kind of scared him off. And then I think seeing the success that the movies have had, I think it kind of pulled him back in. And I think that might be why, but I could be completely wrong. Sarah, do you have any thoughts on the casting?
I loved her in The Nice Guys, and the fact that this 15-year-old girl was able to keep up with stars like those two was amazing. And now to see her in this, well, we don't even know who she is yet, but the fact that she's in it is awesome because she's got She's 15, but she's got the swagger of like a professional actress. She's amazing. I'm so excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Do we actually know if Robert Downey Jr. is playing Iron Man and Tony Stark? I mean, he could just be a dude playing another dude disguised as another dude.
No, it's when they announced it, it was he is, because part of the deal with Sony that they finally ironed out was exactly how that they were going to do it. And remember, everything in the press releases is like, hey, we're working together. When in actuality, it's really, hey, we're letting Marvel make the movie and then we're putting it out. And so one of the big things to make people realize, this Spider-Man is not the Spider-Man you guys have known before. This Spider-Man exists in the MCU was making sure that, one, he showed up in Civil War first, and then, two, to bridge that gap by having Tony Stark show up in this Spider-Man movie, because obviously Spider-Man looks up to Tony Stark as a mentor.
Yeah.
So it's going to be that kind of dynamic. I don't know if we'll actually see him as Iron Man. I have a feeling we might, but he's definitely playing Tony Stark in it.
Yeah, there's just so many things that we don't know yet, and we obviously don't want to know until the night that we see the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Pacific Rim 2 is continuing to move full steam ahead at Legendary Pictures. After announcing that Steven DeKnight, who was the showrunner on Daredevil Season 1, would be taking over directing duties for Guillermo del Toro on the sequel, the film quickly added John Boyega as the film's lead. Now, it looks like we may have found the film's co-star in Scott Eastwood. Scott Eastwood, who is quickly rising up the ranks of Hollywood stardom, taking roles in the upcoming Suicide Squad, Ben Affleck's Live by Night, and the hotly anticipated Fast 8. No word on who Eastwood will be playing, but it's curious to note that none of the first film's cast has joined to this point. Could we be seeing a sequel that's acting more in a reboot fashion? Andy, what are your thoughts on Eastwood joining Pacific Rim 2, and what do you think about the absence of the first film's core cast, Andy?
Well, isn't John Boyega playing Idris Elba's character as a younger guy?
No, he's playing his son.
Son.
Okay, I thought it was... Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Okay, this is another one of those China movies, which this one is the one I'm not, sad about, though, because I really enjoy Pacific Rim.
As you should.
Pacific Rim is one of my con movies where didn't know anything about it, and then I was in that panel, and I, freaked out for 6 months before anybody knew what I was talking about. But, yeah, it's such a good movie. This production for the sequel is really tearing me apart because, pick up Boyega. I get excited. Lose Del Toro. No. It seems like every other story that comes out about this just hurts me and then brings me up and then hurts me again. It's just an abusive relationship, and I don't appreciate it right now. But hopefully opening night I really will. The first trailer I really will. But yeah, this is one of those movies I'm not too mad about or mad at China for.
That's probably for the best. Clearly, if you guys have listened to this show long enough, you know my feelings towards Pacific Rim, which is I think it's actually a modern masterpiece. It's a movie that I thought was wildly misunderstood by people who didn't like it when they go, oh, it's so cheesy, the dialogue is ridiculous, and the acting isn't that great. I don't think they understood that was part of the point. I'm very excited about Boyega. I'm excited to see what Steven DeKnight can do in his first directing feature. I love the Scott Eastwood thing. I think it's cool to see that him doing stuff
I forgot to say anything about him.
Yeah, you can jump in on that in a second. I'm excited about the Eastwood casting. I think it's cool. I think it's great to see that he's been taking roles in franchise-type stuff to kind of get his foot in the door. He's got a big shadow to fall out of, and he has to be his own. And one of the ways to do that is take these roles in these movies where he can shine because they're big-budget type films that a lot of people will see, though we don't know if people will actually see Pacific Rim. They didn't really go to the first one here in America because, frankly, we're idiots. I love the casting. I'm so excited for this movie. I'm glad that Legendary is actually making it happen. I'm glad that Universal actually backed them when WB dropped it. And going back to the first one, I was at Comic-Con the same year that they dropped that first trailer. Andy and I didn't know each other then, but we were both in Hall H when they did it. I had actually met Del Toro the day before by accident on the floor at the Legendary booth because I was walking by and he was actually doing signings for Pacific Rim. And they had the poster, the teaser poster, which I still have framed and is up in my room. And ever since that moment that I saw the poster, I had gotten the bag, I got the poster, and I was like, man, this could be kind of cool. And then they showed the trailer, and I weeped like a little girl because I was so excited by the idea of, you know, a giant monster mech and kaiju movie. And it, ever since then, you know, I was so excited. And that was the same year that they brought the first footage from Godzilla, Gareth Edwards' film. And it was that concept trailer. And that was a great concept trailer. And I just remember, oh my God, the giant monster movie is coming back. And Pacific Rim fulfilled those needs for me. Godzilla fulfilled those needs for me. I'm excited for Skull Island. I think that they're going to do something really cool with that too. So Eastwood joining this is great. I'm just excited Pacific Rim 2 is actually happening. Thank you, China. We can't yell at you for this one. I'm still mad at you for the Transformers movies, but there we go.
Going back to the Eastwood thing, I can't wait to see more of him. Like, I can't even think of anything I've really seen him in. What was that, like, romantic movie that?
The long ride or something like that.
Yeah, that movie like wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. And he wasn't bad in it. So, I'm gonna wait till Suicide Squad to see if he's like has a big role in that to really decide. But yeah, he's in a bunch of stuff. So I'm excited to see where he goes with that. But yeah, oh my God, Comic-Con that year, that was my first year in Hall H, and I had a Pacific Rim bag, and like one of the other guys I was with did too, and he was trying to get rid of it. He was trying to swap it for a Hobbit bag, and then after the Hall H panel, then he's like, "Nope, I'm glad I didn't get rid of this. No one's getting this from me."
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny.
Sarah?
I'm just really excited to see another Eastwood on screen, I
Yeah.
guess. But I mean, I'm not really like crazy about the Pacific Rim movies. I mean, it took Patrick like 2 tries to get me to watch the first one. But like, I don't know, John Boyega's in it, Scott Eastwood's in it. I'm sure I'll be able to have a choice. But you know, me and Patrick will be in the movie theaters with his Pacific Rim hat, you know, opening day. So
Yeah, and my shirt that I have, and you know, I'll probably go with the art book, and I'll probably be weeping all over the Blu-ray for the first one because I can't believe that the second one's actually happening.
What Jaeger did you get?
I got all of them, bro.
No, for the shirt.
Oh, I don't have a Jaeger shirt. I actually have a Pan Pacific Defense Corps shirt.
Gotcha. I got Crimson Typhoon.
Oh,
actually,
bastard.
you know what, you guys? Patrick loves Pacific Rim so much that one of his friends sent him a bunch of like Jaeger like action figures.
Okay.
Like, he's got a bunch of them.
I gotta give a shout out to Darren while we're sitting here doing this because yeah, you know, everyone knows that the show was off for a little bit because we had moved and stuff, and so Darren was like, hey man, I have a care package I want to send you, like we miss you down here and I found some stuff, I thought you would like it. And so, you know, I give him the address and he didn't tell me what it was. He goes, just tell me when it gets there. And so I came home one day and there's this big box at the front door, and I was like, what the? I didn't order anything. Oh, yeah, Darren sent me something. And I open it, and it's just all Pacific Rim stuff. It was the art book. It was all the different Jaegers. It was the pieces to the board game. It was everything Pacific Rim. There was a hat, and oh, my God, I've barely taken the hat off since I've gotten it. It was incredible.
It was a Jaeger bomb. Like,
legitimately. But it was so cool, and I can't thank Darren enough. So, like I said, you guys don't understand how much I love this movie. It hits me in all the right places, and it makes me feel really good. So that the fact that it's actually getting a sequel just blows my mind, and I'm so happy. Sarah, what's next?
Well, we've been talking about China a lot, And so, well, it appears that Legendary won't be stopping there with their sequels, as a recent tweet from the official Warcraft Twitter in China has hinted that the sequel is a go! The tweet is as follows: Warcraft's theatrical run is coming to an end, but the chapter of a new decade has just begun. It's a starting point, not an end point. We don't say goodbye now because we'll meet you again. Patrick, do you think this means Warcraft 2 is a go?
Yes, absolutely. I think this is a go, and I think it's friggin' obvious that it was going to happen with it continuing to just dominate the Chinese box office. I think that this was the best way for them to announce it, if any way that they were going to, through the Chinese Twitter account, because China's the one that ate this movie up. I mean, they were the ones who saved this series, because no one in America seemed to give two craps about it, but at least China went out, and checked this movie out and continued to, and the fan base is there, and it continued to make a lot of money. So it does not surprise me one bit that they're already talking about Warcraft 2. I think it was only a matter of time. Duncan Jones said he had a trilogy, that he had it planned out. And Sarah, you can take the damn you China thing away. We are not gonna. I will forgive them for the crappy Transformers stuff as long as I get Warcraft 2 and Pacific Rim 2. I don't care. This is great news to me, and I think that there's a lot more to explore with the Warcraft sequel. And I think you can actually make a better movie now that the world has actually been, established.
Terminator Genesis. Transformers 2. Transformers 3. Transformers 4.
Wait, take a breath. Okay, go.
Soon to be Transformers 5. This. I'll give you that they saved Pacific Rim, and I still haven't seen Warcraft, and I've heard good things, but there's a lot of gripe here. They like what they like. I can't argue with it. Yeah, it's a thing that's happening. I still haven't seen Warcraft, and it's not at my theater anymore, so I won't see it until I have to watch it on a smaller screen. So that's gonna be disappointing. But movies can always be good, and better than than the ones before them. So why not just give it a shot? Thanks, China.
Oh my gosh.
I know that Diego's like jumping up and down at this, by the way, because he's been hailing Warcraft as the one of the best movies of the year.
If you listen to what he says and then you look at his letterbox, sometimes it's very odd how they make connections.
It really is. Sarah, do you have any thoughts other than that you're mad?
Okay, if I have to talk about Warcraft like one more time.
Well, guess what? If they're making a sequel, we're going to talk a lot about it over the next few years.
And that's okay, because that's our job. All right. Everyone knows I'm like Team Riot and whatever. I love League of Legends, so that's why I always give so much hate to Warcraft. But I mean, the sequel makes sense because there's so many expansions for the game, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think
it just makes sense.
And I think I think the original games, it was a trilogy. So I think that's kind of what they're basing the movie around, is those first original stories.
Yeah. So they could make Warcraft movies until like the world ends because there's so many expansions. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks, China.
Don't sound so sad about it. What's next?
Okay. We've been hearing a lot of rumors regarding the upcoming Tomb Raider reboot at Warner Brothers. What? With nothing outside of Alicia Vikander's casting as the famous Lara Croft set in stone. Now it appears that the film has a release date. Warner Brothers has set the film for March 16th, 2018, which should come as no shock to those paying attention to Warner in recent years. The studio has really mined the March slots for some of their bigger event films, trying to be the first studio to mark the year with a blockbuster. as the film calendar year continues to shift and change. We also learned a bit more about the upcoming film from producer Graham King, who had this to say. Listen, the box office of the previous films, they weren't disasters, but I find it interesting that the story that we're telling is really the story before she became Lara Croft. So it is a character piece. It does have a lot of really great characters, but it's a lot of action and a lot of fun, and for me, it's something very different. I've not really done a movie like that before, but I really gravitated to rebooting this franchise and we're going to give it a shot. End quote. Andy, what do you think of Warner's staking the March slot for Tomb Raider, and what do you make of King's comments on the film and the direction they're taking it, Andy?
I will give anybody that tweets me at the Talking Can imaginary money on 1 in a million odds that this date changes, because it's Warner Brothers and they love throwing. I think that they actually just like spin a wheel and throw a dart at it, and then 3 months later do it again, and with every date different on each throw. Like it's just, to me, dates from Warner Brothers means absolutely nothing now. Especially after the Civil War standoff. As soon as somebody puts something near it that's scary, they're gonna shake and change. But having Alicia Vikander gets me so excited for this. I didn't really care for the last two, but I love her. She was the only thing I really liked about Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Ex Machina was one of my favorite movies last year. So I'm really excited to see what she does and every movie she's in, and I just want to see it. So yeah, March sounds good. That seems pretty quick in the year. So yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'm pretty okay with this. I mean, we said it. Warner has really mined March. Ever since 300 came out and they realized that they could do big business in March, they've really tried to put an event film there every year, or at least they've tried to. I think it's a good move. I think Alicia Vikander is great for the role. I can't really think of anything wrong with the casting. I think it's perfect. I kind of hate that they're deciding that they have to do like a origin story of how Lara Croft becomes Lara Croft. It sounds too Batman Begins for me. I'm really past origin stories. I think we've moved past that. I think Spider-Man shows that we don't necessarily need it. I think Black Panther is going to show we don't necessarily need it. Origin stories don't have to be where the character starts. We can meet them later in their life, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, we didn't know anything about Indiana Jones before you met him in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything about any of the characters in Star Wars until you met them. I think that people really, we think too hard on the origin thing, and I actually think that may have been one of the things that Batman v Superman did right and wrong at the same time with Batman, because I don't think you necessarily needed an origin story, though maybe 20 years into his career may not have been the best idea, but I still think that you're better off not doing the origin again. And I mean, Lord Croft didn't have an origin in the original movies, and so I think that was the right way to go, and I know that they want to be different than the other movies, but doing an origin story doesn't necessarily scream to me, this is the way to go. And I know that the newer games are popular because they're the origin story ones, and they're a lot more gritty and dark and violent and real. And man, I really like the originals because they didn't necessarily have to be dark and gritty. I liked they were just adventure films with Lara Croft, and she was a badass. And I liked the games for being that way too. And I hope to God that they're not doing like the dark and gritty side of the character, because we don't need it, but it's being written, or at least at one point it was written by the person who did Snow White and the Huntsman, which was gritty Snow White, which was awful. So I'm of two minds of this. I think the date is good. I think the actress is good. I hope to God they get a good director, and I hope that they get someone who understands that the character can be fun, doesn't need to be dark and whatever.
Well, I don't know. I just don't want another Lara Croft movie.
Really?
I don't. I
What
don't
do you
know.
have against Lara Croft?
No, I loved the games. I did. No. Don't get me wrong. I loved the games, but I didn't really like Angelina Jolie, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't digging it. I don't
Well,
I
that's
just-
why they got Alicia Vikander, because we didn't want Angelina Jolie.
So that's why I rolled my eyes when I hear stuff like this, because I'm like, well, I mean, the only way is up, I guess. Hopefully.
Yeah, and I can see where if you're a fan of the game and you didn't like the other movies, where hearing "Hey, they're doing it again" can sound off-putting, especially with what we're talking about, an origin story. You know, she doesn't need it.
No.
She doesn't.
Well, I mean, like, why do we have to keep dumbing down these movies for people who don't even want to try and go research about the movie they're going to go see? I mean, I feel like that's what origin story movies are for, the people that just walk in blind. I mean, not walking blind, but like,
But you're right.
yeah.
People are lazy.
People are.
Like, you could just pull it up on Wiki or IMDb, like, before you go in, and, like, that's all you need. Like, well, whatever.
No, I actually agree with that. That's why I said I think that the origin story thing is past even needing to be a thing at this point. I mean, again, Marvel put Black Panther in Civil War with no origin and Spider-Man in Civil War with no origin, and guess what? No one questioned it.
No.
I mean, come on.
Definitely. Okay, awesome. So we're gonna talk about one of Patrick's favorite things. So Amblin Entertainment is returning to the science fiction genre, and specifically in the type that involves alien invasions. Deadline broke the news that Amblin has acquired the script for a new film entitled The Fall, written by Pete Bridges. The long line for the film is as follows. In the midst of an alien invasion, a freshly divorced couple must survive a dangerous real-time journey on foot from downtown Atlanta to the suburbs, where their young children are home alone. It's not much to go off of, but this quickly... I don't know what that word
It's peaked.
But this is quickly piquing interest of film fans everywhere. Patrick, what do you think of Amblin returning to the alien invasion genre with The Fall?
I think this is friggin' fantastic. Actually, I have a feeling, and I'm hoping this turns out to be true, that this is the movie Peter Jackson is doing at Amblin. Because last week, Steven Spielberg was actually talking about that Peter Jackson is doing a film for them. They wouldn't say what it was at the time because he was actually talking about Tintin 2, which we're actually going to talk about in a few minutes. And I love this. This sounds great. Of course, you know, in typical Amblin fashion, there's children at the forefront, but also the parents. And I think that the divorced couple is very E.T. It's very Jurassic Park. It's very, a lot of those movies that Spielberg made and produced have to do with family relations and things like that. The real-time aspect, I think, is very interesting as well, and I think that could make it unique. And man, I think this sounds fantastic. And especially, I saw the BFG today, and I loved it. And it just reminds me why I love Amblin films so much. They're so damn amazing. There's just something about them. There's a magic behind a lot of those movies that are just so good. So this is fantastic to me. I like seeing Amblin, as now that it's gone back to Universal, is really kind of going to the forefront again to make movies in a way that they haven't done in a long time. This is fantastic. I'm so excited.
What do you think, Andy?
I do not share his enthusiasm.
Boo on you.
It's not that I don't. It's not that I am against it. It's just that I don't really care.
How dare
I
you?
care, but like I'm just it doesn't get me going. Like anti-China and stuff like that.
Do you not have a heart? I have to ask. Do you not have a heart? Like, Jesus, man.
You're lucky. You're lucky.
No.
I'm holding him back right now.
Christ. I mean,
No,
come on.
That's been torn out by many very hard, difficult movie watches.
Okay, you got to get past the Transformer shit, man. It's time. You can't let that hold you back. Amblin is the way, the truth, and the light. Amblin Entertainment. Come on. Jeez, man.
It sounds like a cult the way you're explaining it. I'm not a cult person.
I'm just saying. I mean, Amblin.
Okay. No, Patrick, before you put your ET sheet on, calm down and let me talk about how I feel about it. No, I'm really, really excited about new generation, like getting Amblin films.
Thank
to watch.
you.
I know Jurassic World was not an Amblin film, but I love the
Yes, it
idea
was.
of the Oh, was it?
Yes.
Correction. Okay, sorry. Calm down. Sit down.
You got me all
well,
riled up, you guys.
I love the fact that they keep bringing up, like divorced couple stuff in
Goes
movies.
back to E.T.
Yeah, and in E.T. and the fact that it's kids are able to watch this stuff and the relatable stuff about it. And so, I mean, it's very E.T.-esque, but the fact that the new generation is going to have an Amblin film like this is awesome. So, I mean, I'm excited about it. The synopsis sounds really, really awesome. If there's a book, it is written by Pete Bridges, so I will want to own it.
Would you guys be cool with Peter Jackson directing it? Because I feel like this would be good for him if he was scaling back, especially coming off the Hobbit trilogy. Would that make you more interested or less interested?
That's a question for Andy.
Honestly, Peter Jackson isn't like a huge draw for me. Like, I'll see it, but like I'm not rushing to see it.
I see. Here's what for me. The way I think of it, I actually hope it is him in a way because I'd like to see him go back to hit the things like The Frighteners and, some of his smaller films.
Yeah, that might get me excited about him again.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm really hoping that this project is the same one they were talking about last week. I mean, it can't be coincidence that this is the movie that gets announced the week after Spielberg's talking about Jackson doing a movie. But, I mean, it could be. It could be complete coincidence, and I'm just getting my hopes up for nothing.
Yeah.
Probably.
I mean, it's
Probably.
not much to go on, but hopefully with adding a cast and directors, it'll get Andy more excited.
Yeah, damn you, Andy.
Moving on. Thor Ragnarok is now officially in production for Marvel Studios. The announcement came from Marvel producer Luis D'Esposito on Twitter. Best of luck to Takai Watati, Twitter handle, and the whole cast and crew of #Thor Ragnarok. July 4th, they start filming. Australia is in the future. Ant-Man and the Wasp director Peyton Reed and Thor Ragnarok also share a fun little exchange on Twitter as well, with Reed tweeting, "Congrats to Takai Watati and Brad Winderbaum on day one of principal photography on Thor Ragnarok. Takai, remember explosions. #MJOLMNIR. Takai responded accordingly with a funny picture of empty chairs in this tweet. Pretty sweet first day. Look at all these people who turned up to work. #blessed, #support. Andy, are you looking forward to Thor Ragnarok, and what did you think of the Twitter exchange, Andy?
Am I excited for Thor Ragnarok? Do you know who I am? I could not be more excited for Thor Ragnarok. I was more excited for Thor Ragnarok than I think I was for Civil War before it came out. Because Planet Hulk possibilities? Come on. Are you kidding me? Hulking out the entire time, and then Thor just comes along, "Hey man, I know that guy. You should come and help me." He's like, "Sweet, let's destroy planets." Bam. Yeah, it's gonna be amazing, and I cannot wait. It's just gonna be, oh god, I'm more excited. I'm thinking. Sorry. Yeah, there is nothing I'm more excited for in the Marvel movies that are like about to be released than Thor Ragnarok.
Oh my god.
Okay, I have to side with Andy on this. Thank God that, he and I can see eye to eye again, just one topic later. But I am ridiculously excited about this. Takai Watiti, I cannot say his name. I'm a horrible person.
I tried.
He's such a great director. I'm really excited to see Wilder People. That comes out. I think it came out this weekend, actually. and I think it's finally playing up here. So I'm gonna have to go see that. And I thought What We Do in the Shadows was absolutely incredible. It's a great movie, and I think he's going to add a lot of energy and a lot of fun to the Thor movies that we haven't really seen yet. And they're finally doing Planet Hulk and Thor together in a buddy road comedy action film through space. Like, how can I not be excited about that? It's the perfect way to do this movie. And it's about time that Thor wasn't, stuck on Earth. And, thank God that they got rid of Natalie Portman. I was tired of watching her sleepwalk through the movies. I'm really happy to see Jeff Goldblum in this. I'm happy to see Carl Urban in the MCU. I cannot get more excited. The cast is amazing so far. This is exactly what I've wanted. Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie. Come on. It's perfect. And I think Idris Elba's Heimdall is going to have a much larger part than where a lot of us are expecting, which is even better. This is in my most anticipated movies of next year. This is in my most anticipated comic book movies coming out anytime soon. I think Ragnarok is going to surprise a lot of people, especially coming off of Dark World. This is fantastic.
Definitely.
Yay!
Yeah, definitely.
And real quick, I also want to say the Twitter exchanges are really perfect because it shows that everyone at Marvel, like, these guys love working with Marvel, and there's clearly a connection, and they really vibe off each other, and they have fun. They play off of each other. And I mean, James Gunn was doing that with the Spider-Man cast as they wrapped Guardians, and now you have, Peyton Reed interacting with him, and I think it's fun, and it shows that there's a real community and a real understanding between all these guys of what they're doing, and I think that the support that they show each other is even better. You don't see that in other studio movies. You don't see a lot of guys being like, oh, hey, Justin Lin, good luck on Star Trek, and that was from, whoever. James Wan, who's taking over Fast and the Furious for him. You don't see that a lot, so I think that's really cool.
It might also have to do with the fact that they have to deal with each other for the next 8 movies because of contract obligations.
Or yeah, it'd be
just because Marvel keeps hiring amazing people.
I like to believe it's that one and not the Debbie Downer answer that you said the first time.
I'm a realist.
Whatever, man. Okay, Sarah, do you have any thoughts?
I want my Kate Blanchett. I want my Jeff. I want my Idris Elba. I want my Planet Hulk. And I want Thor Ragnarok to not be one of the movies I sleep through with Phase 2 Marvel Marathon. And I'm pretty sure it won't, but the other two, I don't know.
No, if it has Jeff Goldblum and Carl Urban and Mark Ruffalo and Tom Hiddleston and, Tessa Thompson and all of these people, there's no way any of us are sleeping through a Thor movie ever again. At least this one.
So excited. And for the Twitter exchange, no comment. Okay. Moving on. If you're looking forward to Star Wars Rogue One, yay, you'll be excited to hear that a brand new trailer for the film will be released on July 15th, 8 p.m. on ABC. Oh my gosh, that's really soon. During a special entitled Secrets of the Force Awakens, a cinematic journey, the trailer is supposed to come in around 3 minutes. Patrick, do you think this is a good plan to release the new trailer this early? And do you think it could be damage control after the recent reshoot rumors? And do you think we're to see our first look at Darth Vader? I'm sorry, I'm really excited.
Oh my God. Okay. First of all, of course this was going to happen. Star Wars Celebration is next week. And that's a big deal for all of us because not only I think we're going to hear a lot more about the new Han Solo movie. I think we're going to get an announcement for the new Obi-Wan movie. I think we're going to see Ewan McGregor walk out and actually, they announced that they're doing a solo film with him. I think that's on the deck. I think that you take it to the bank. I think it's happening. I am ridiculously excited about Rogue One, and I think that it was obvious that this Star Wars Celebration was really going to heavily focus on pushing Rogue One and making sure people were excited about it. And there's no way that this was done and to be like, oh man, we have to battle those reshoot rumors now. This was already planned way before. So there's no damage control here. I've seen a lot of people talking about that online. Oh, they're just trying to get people to quit talking about the reshoots. Guess what, motherfuckers? They do reshoots for everything all the time. That was our one F-bomb for this episode, but it pisses me off. I'm so tired of seeing people talking about the reshoots like it's some bad thing. Guess what? You could do 100% reshoots. As long as the movie turns out good, I'm happy. Like, that should be the mindset, not, oh God, reshoots. What does that mean? Every blockbuster goes through reshoots. Every single one. It's so ridiculous that people get upset about it. So, that being said, I think that we're also going to see Darth Vader in the trailer. I think that because they revealed it in Entertainment Weekly 2 weeks ago, I think it's obvious that they were always going to do the new trailer with Vader in it. I think he's going to either be one of the last things or he's going to be a heavy presence throughout. And I think this is great. And if you guys haven't seen that documentary that they're airing on ABC, it was actually on the Force Awakens Blu-ray. It's a really great documentary, so I highly suggest watching it if you haven't already.
Definitely. Andy?
On that date that you said earlier, I will be doing other things because I've already watched my Rogue One trailer. I'm sticking by watching one trailer for this movie.
You have no soul. You don't even want to see Darth Vader.
I'm gonna see 1,000 pictures on Twitter. If he's in it, I will know from Twitter and Facebook, and because I work at a movie theater.
And because I text them to you as I weep on my phone.
Seeing the footage is different than seeing a still of it, and it's different than hearing about it. I don't care, like, it won't be spoiling it for me to see a picture of a trailer. I just like seeing it in the moment, like, is what I'm trying to avoid, so that I'm not like thinking ahead when I see stuff happening in the movie.
You know what? A lot of people are starting to go like head first, like with like this mindset that you have, Andy. It's actually becoming a very, very like
it's
big
popular.
Trailers show too much. I'm surprised that the Han Solo thing wasn't in a trailer for Episode 7.
Yeah, and I'm really
the only reason it wasn't is because JJ's involved. I bet.
I'm actually, I'm sorry, I don't mean to like derail us, but like a lot of people are starting to look like towards movies that way. Because there's just like, I want to be excited. And like a lot of people even were that way towards Civil War because they're like, what if I accidentally see, I don't want to know anything about Spider-Man. I don't want to know anything. You know what I mean? Like, so, sorry.
I'm so shocked that they didn't have Giant Man in the trailer for Civil War.
It was a nice surprise, right? And I'm with you guys I think that it's actually smart when you look at what Sony's done with Ghostbusters, where there's how many trailers for that movie now?
I stopped watching after the second one.
But
they said it got better and it didn't.
So much marketing.
But there's been way too much marketing, just like they did with the Amazing Spider-Man 2, where there was way too much marketing. And there's this. I think I'm afraid Suicide Squad's getting towards that point too, because they've had 3 trailers and a bunch of TV spots. You need to find the balance between what you're showing and what you're not. And I'm actually thinking that Suicide Squad, even though they've used a lot of the same footage in all the trailers, which is hopeful for me. So I do agree with you guys, but I cannot not watch the Star Wars trailer. I need to see it. I have to see it. I need to see Darth Vader. I need to hear James Earl Jones again in a movie, not just on Rebels. I need this. I do. I love Star Wars too much. I can't look away. I can't. I'm sorry. I don't have enough willpower. At least I'm honest.
Wasn't it someone took all the footage from Amazing Spider-Man 2 that came out before the movie was released, and they put it all in one video, and there was like no duplicate footage throughout the video, and it was like 22 minutes long.
No, it was 30 minutes long.
It was 30?
Yeah.
Regardless of the stuff like that, probably half of it wasn't even in the movie. That's not the point. It's the fact that is still too much.
Yeah.
And every movie runs that risk when it's a big blockbuster like this, where they need to get as much exposure as possible and as much people watching these trailers to get excited about it as possible. And everyone's different, so they feel like every person will be drawn by something different. So then they try to get more and more footage, and it's just, I don't need that. I'm already excited for the movie. Why? I'm gonna see it probably 10 times, so why ruin little bits of, like, little special moments when I could just wait?
Exactly. Well, I personally I agree with Patrick because I really think it's important. Well, yeah, seeing Darth Vader is exciting. He's my favorite character, but I think it's important, like of high importance, to make sure that you show Darth Vader in the trailers because my other job, I drive for Lyft, and I keep asking people about like, if they're excited for movies coming out or whatever. And I brought up Rogue One day, and someone was like, "Oh no, I'm just gonna skip that one. I'm gonna go straight from 7 to 8." And I was like, "Why?" And they're just like, "Well, it's a one-off movie." And I was like, "What?" And they're
No,
like,
this is a
"Yeah."
prequel to 4, you
They're
idiot.
like, "Yeah, it's just one of those side movies." And I was like, "A side movie? What are you talking about?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, it's just one of those, other like side movies, that you just find that they just do to make money." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Star Wars
No.
doesn't just make money or make movies to make money.
And
No.
so when I was like explaining what the movie was and the synopsis and like how Donnie Yen was in it and how now like I heard Darth Vader was going to be in it, and they're just like, "Wait, this movie's actually a really big deal." And I was like, "Yes."
People.
And he was like, "Oh, I'm actually really excited now." And I was like, "Yeah, but like whenever I bring up, 'Oh, are you guys excited for the new Star Wars movie?' they think it's episode 8."
Yeah.
And it's like, this movie needs better exposure. It just does. And so Darth Vader is just really the key.
I agree, and I think when you put Vader in it all of a sudden locks in that people go, "Oh, this is a movie, set during the original times."
This is a real movie.
Yeah, and I think that they're gonna go, "Oh crap! Now I have to see it because it's Vader." It's clearly important, and that's exciting. And I think you're right. I think that they really haven't showed enough of the first teaser. Really, I haven't seen it with very many movies, although it was with Civil War, which is like the biggest movie of the year, so plenty of people saw it.
Oh yeah.
But I hope that this new trailer gets as much traction, and I'm hoping that it's the last trailer and that we're actually going to be talking about this for the next 6 months leading into the movie. I think that's the way it's going to go, and I'm hoping.
Awesome. So that was the conclusion of our real film bits news, all the real news clips.
Yes.
So Patrick, take it away with the rest.
I will. All right, guys. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the stuff that is going on. Of course, we've been talking a lot about Comic-Con. That seems to be the running theme in this episode because guess what? Comic-Con is just around the corner. In 2 weeks, we will be descending into San Diego, our geek mecca. Andy, Sarah, Diego, Sam, we're all going to be there. It's going to be a ton of fun. I am so excited. And of course, the big thing about San Diego is Saturday in Hall H. Right, Andy?
I live there. That's my address. Every one Saturday, or Friday night to Saturday a year in July, I am at San Diego Hall H. You can find me, tweet me, take snaps with me, whatever you want to do, I will be there.
Yep, and that's
every time.
And of course,
we're still trying to work on getting a Snapchat created too.
Yes, we are.
Keep an eye out.
But so because we're talking about Comic-Con so much, the one thing that is Saturday is the big day for movie nerds around the world because that's the day that all sorts of things happen. Something really exciting most of the time, and of course, as most of those Saturdays do, we're going to talk a little bit about the schedule. Warner Brothers will once again be kicking off Hall H on Saturday with a 2-hour presentation, which we know is probably going to run over, as they tend to. And they haven't said exactly what's going to be there, but we're going to see sneak peeks at upcoming releases. Of course, I think that we will be seeing some footage more from Suicide Squad. I also actually have an inkling that they may screen the film at Comic-Con that weekend. I believe we're going to be seeing the first footage from Justice League. I think we may see some footage from The Flash, like a concept trailer. I think they're officially going to announce Green Lantern. I think there's going to be a lot of things going on at the Warner Brothers panel, including Skull Island, because I believe that is at Warner Brothers now. And I think we're going to see our first footage from that.
Wasn't that Legendary after they split away?
Yeah, and then it ended up going back over there with Legendary.
Wait, Legendary's back at Warner Brothers?
No, just this movie
Oh,
series
okay. I was
because
gonna say, wait, then we are getting Legendary that day. Never mind.
because well, here's the thing. That could be true because they're still doing Godzilla 2 and Skull Island with Warner Brothers. So if we're going to see any footage from them of anything, I think we'll see some. We may even get a director announcement for Godzilla 2. That would be ideal.
Yeah, I forgot he left that.
And we would also maybe Godzilla versus King Kong. So I think that there's going to be a lot of Kong Skull Island stuff. I think we're going to see Justice League stuff. I think there's going to be a lot of DC announcements, and I think we're actually going to see some stuff for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. What are you guys thinking about Hall H? What are you hoping we see from Warner Brothers? What do you think?
Andy.
I am so Hall H all the time, every year, that I literally spend more time I am willing to spend more time in line than I do in the stupid hall.
Mm-hmm.
That's how crazy I am for Hall H. You can hear all the stories that you can possibly take about what it's like to be in there. You still do not know what it's like to be in there unless you've been in there.
Yep.
You can watch footage of the panels. You can watch your friends' Snapchats. You can watch someone's FaceTime while they're in there. You do not know what it's like in there unless you've been in there. It is unearthly. It is my favorite place on the planet. Hall H Saturday is my favorite place in the world. Were you there 2 years ago, Patrick?
What one was 2 years ago?
When the Batman v Superman footage and Mad Max?
No. Yes. Yes. Yes, I was.
Were you there for the Mad Max footage?
Yes.
When he came out?
Yes.
Who do you think won Comic-Con that day?
Yeah, of course.
Batman vs Superman or Mad Max?
Mad Max.
Everybody that was not in the hall saw the footage, said that Batman v Superman won the day. That entire weekend I'm yelling, no. Were you in there? No. You weren't in there. Mad Max had everyone's jaws on the floor because no one was expecting it. No one had any anticipation. And that is the wonder of Comic-Con. I am so excited for the panels that we don't know about yet. Everything that Warner Brothers has surprise for us is what I'm excited for. The Justice League stuff is just cherry on top because we know it's going to come. But I want to know the side projects that are going to leave me drooling all over the floor.
You know what I look forward to every Saturday is when Warner Brothers gets out there, and you guys you can't understand this unless you're in the room. And you go in, and Comic-Con has the main stage in Hall H. And you're sitting there, and there's one big screen. There's a bunch of other screens in the room, so people farther back can see. Yeah. But you're sitting there, and you're waiting, and the lights go down, and Warner Brothers panel starts. And Warner Brothers does this thing where all of a sudden the walls seem to start to move, and there's all these curtains, and they move off to the side, and it wraps the room, and you start seeing projections of all the movies, and it's so cool. Warner Brothers puts on a hell of a show. They really do. Yeah. And so you can't understand what it's like unless you're there, and it's amazing.
It is. They do the best that they can. It's way too many people for them to handle. They don't have enough people, but they do the best that they can. They know that getting into Hall H is such a big deal because people literally camp out for 15 hours to get in there, and they try to do their best to accommodate. When you're getting in there, the security guards letting you in high five you.
Yes, they do.
Get excited! You're about to be in Hall H. It is not a joke. Unless you're me or my friends, you do not literally it's a thing. You cannot simply walk into Hall H. I've done it before because of reasons that I'm not going to disclose, but it's the best place on the planet, and I strongly suggest that everybody that enjoys these kind of things, you have to experience Hall H sometime.
One does not simply walk into Hall H.
Yeah, the Deadpool panel. 6,500 people on their feet chanting one more time to the fact that Chris Hardwick, who was already moderating a panel 15 minutes over, just told him to play the trailer again because he knew that he was going to have a stampede of people because of the Deadpool trailer.
It's amazing.
It's worth going to San Diego for the entire week just for that one day in there. Oh my God.
And
I
I'm
love it.
so excited to be able to go for the first time with you.
It is so.
Yeah,
I
y-
literally. Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Well,
I love.
what's the over under? Do you think that Warner Brothers announces new Mad Max?
Ooh,
That's my question right now because I
I have no idea.
feel like that might be a thing.
That if they have to make one soon
Exactly.
because they have to announce it soon at least, or like have it get going because the buzz from Fury Road isn't going to last forever.
Exactly. And that's why I'm
So,
wondering.
so they need to get going on that. I really want to see an announce. I want them to announce it and see a logo.
Hmm.
I don't even care if they don't have a director yet.
Well, it'll
or
be
if,
George Miller. He's directed all of them.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, I would if like the lights go down and they're like after they're done, we think that they've already shot their load and then they're like about to say goodbye, and then all of a sudden, this is totally one thing that could be possible, that we think that they're done, they're thanking us, and then all of a sudden they're like somebody starts screaming in the front row, and then it pans over, and then you see George Miller walking on stage, everyone loses their shit, and then all of a sudden he's like, I just want to add one more thing. Mad
Yeah.
Max 5, and he points up to the screen, and then the logo comes up, and he says, "Coming 2018," and then he just walks off the stage.
You know,
That
it would be like it would be the Batman v Superman moment for them because that's how they announced Batman v
messed that
Superman.
up, if you ask me.
No, they
screwed
did.
that up hard.
They did. But my point is, it was still that kind of the same idea. Was
Yeah.
the way that everything was wrapping up, and then they came out and they were like, "Oh wait, by the way, Zack Snyder's here. This is crazy. What could possibly be happening?" You know, because Man of Steel had just come out a few weeks before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's a thing. I think it's a thing that could happen.
Batman v Superman's too big of a property to do that way, but Mad Max would be perfect, I think.
Yeah. On top of that, of course, you know, that's not the only thing happening in Hall H. We will be having the Star Trek 50th anniversary panel in Hall H, which is actually very interesting to quite a few of us. On top of that,
Bye.
you are going to cry. William Shatner is going to be there. You're going to cry. Then after that is going to be the Aliens 30th anniversary panel with James Cameron, Gail Ann Hurd, Sigourney Weaver, Bill Paxton, Lance Henriksen, and Michael Biehn, and Paul Reiser. Reiser's going to be there. I did not realize that. That is
Wait,
awesome.
you're reading this?
Yeah.
This is actually visual? Okay, sweet.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's not forget the Gotham presentation
That's-
in the Indigo Ballroom at 2:10.
We won't be able to do that.
Yeah, we're all going to be in Hall H. We're
excited.
I know you are, but we're going to be in Hall H. And following the Aliens panel, the most important thing to happen that night, on top of it, Warner Brothers starts the night. When it comes to panels ending, Marvel Studios ends the night. And this is going to be a hell of a Marvel panel. I have feelings. A lot of them. I think that you guys don't understand what it was like the first time to see the footage at all from Guardians of the Galaxy. I was there when they announced the movie the year before. I was there the year that they showed the first footage. Now we're going to be there the year that they showed the first footage for Guardians 2. I'm going to cry. We're going to see footage from Thor. We're going to see concept footage, I think, from Black Panther, shot by Ryan Coogler. I think we are going to hear the Captain Marvel announcement. And I'm got a feeling I think we're going to see something from a Black Widow movie or an inkling of an announcement.
Yeah, I'm excited for all those possibilities, but the thing is though, like Marvel can do whatever they want. It's going to be awesome. Because they weren't even there last year. And the year before that they kind of screwed the pooch because they were going to do, like that event that they did, the Marvel Day event where they announced the rest like through
all of the phase, yeah.
Yep, that was supposed to happen at Comic-Con a couple of months earlier, but Robert Downey Jr. hadn't signed on for Civil War yet.
Yep.
So he hasn't signed the contract, so they couldn't announce it. So literally, were you in the hall that year?
Uh-huh. Oh, yes.
We were in there for 20 minutes waiting with nothing. Like, they were 20 minutes late. We were chanting, "We want Marvel," all this stuff. After that, I think they felt really bad. That's why they're like, we don't really have anything this year. That's why they didn't go last year.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they're back means that they do have something, especially since they know they don't have to do con. or Comic-Con with like D23 plus they can do their own events because they're Marvel. The fact that they actually are coming back to Comic-Con tells me that they have something that they feel very satisfied with, and I am super excited.
I think it's going to be every other year because last year was D23, like you said, and I think the D23 years they're going to focus on D23, and the years they don't will be Comic-Con because it only makes sense with D23 being every other year.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is Marvel's at their best is always at Comic-Con. They come out, they swing for the fences. They always hit a home run other than that one year. But that was also the Joaquin Phoenix thing because they wanted to announce Doctor Strange, and they didn't end up getting him to sign the contract. Yeah. And so that played a part too. But I think there's going to be a lot of cool announcements. And then one thing you and I were talking about before the show is during the Aliens 30th anniversary panel, do you think that they're going to announce the official Alien 5 with Neil Blomkamp?
Yeah, I think they have to have something connecting it. That's the only reason why it'd be in Hall H.
Yeah, I just can't see a reason for it being in Hall H unless they actually planned on doing something with it.
Unless, like, they just think that the star power of Cameron is so big that they'd need it to be in Hall H. That's the only other reason I can think, even though it's not real.
Yeah, pretty much.
Cameron's one of the best directors of all time, but this Avatar nonstop talk is really pissing me off.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah, do you have any thoughts?
You might hear me talk like bad about James Cameron. I love him. He's one of my favorite directors. I love so many of his movies, but he is one of the best filmmakers of all time. But this Avatar stuff just makes me so angry.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. Sarah, anything?
Comments on Hall H announcements. My only thing is I'm wondering if from all the excitement due to the Marvel Hall H panel, if people are going to go and send Kevin Smith some love at 7.
No, I always leave because I'm exhausted and I need to pass out.
See, that's what I think. And, Kevin Smith is awesome, but just makes me wonder if he should have had, if he had control over it, if he would have picked to be before Marvel, so people would actually go.
He's done this so many times. I really don't think it bothers him.
Okay.
I think that he knows that his fans are I think he actually prefers being after Marvel because then his fans have access to him instead of a bunch of fanboys waiting for the next panel.
Yeah, I guess that's just the only thing I noticed about the announcements. Star Trek. Okay, the only other thing, 2 things. I'm really excited to sit in the Aliens panel with the Talking Can.
What the hell? Am I chopped liver over here?
She sees you daily.
It is not your turn. No, the reason why is because then I get to hear Andy every 2 seconds go, Alien 3, Alien.
It's a thing.
Third thing, the Star Trek panel, just the fact that we're going to have so many Star Trek fans around us, in light of just the sad news, I mean, it's just going to be so much more important that we're in Hall H,
Well, don't forget that they're premiering the movie too, but it's not in Hall H.
But just the fact that it's going to be Star Trek Hall H in light of everything, I think is going to be so ethereal at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that you're going to see a concept trailer for the new show.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
That's what I'm excited about from all the announcements. Yeah.
Right on. So we'll move on from that in something that was announced a few weeks ago, but because of the 4th of July weekend, we didn't get to talk about it. It is official. Disney is finally making Wreck-It Ralph 2. This was too long coming, in my opinion. I think they've actually waited a little too long to do it. But John C. Reilly will return as Ralph for the film that is just titled, at this point, Wreck-It Ralph 2, though there's a rumor it will be called Super Wreck-It Ralph. And it will be released on March 9th, 2018. Sarah Silverman will also be returning to play Vanellope. And as we learned a little bit from the announcement, this is what they're saying the movie is going to be, is the world of the internet is the perfect place to send Ralph and Vanellope. The scope and the scale is so vast, and the possibilities for comedy are endless. They also went in to say that the relationship between Vanellope and Ralph, we're going to see it more in the comedy that comes from them. We're going to see their friendship tested by getting on the internet, and everything you loved about the first one is going to be here and a whole lot more. So what are you guys happy that Wreck-It Ralph 2 is finally happening? They're leaving the arcade, they're going on the internet, and it's finally officially a thing.
I'm excited about the internet possibilities, but I must say that I didn't see the first one yet.
What the crap?
Yeah, I still haven't seen the first one yet. So, and that's a movie I was excited for. I just didn't get to, and then that's just a thing.
I just died a little bit inside.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
that's happened several times during this episode.
But I definitely, yeah, exactly. I like the idea though of them going into the internet and the possibilities, like you said, are endless.
Sarah?
Yeah. I'm really Ralph in general. I hate that we have to wait 2 years for this movie. Me and actually Patrick's mother were talking about Wreck-It Ralph the other day, and we were saying that just Princess Penelope is the princess that every little girl should have, and I'm really glad we get more from Sarah Silverman, because it's the only role I think that matches her voice besides Andy and Ollie from Bob's Burgers. But I'm so excited. I really, really am. The announcement was so much fun. Everyone was so excited. I'm pretty sure it crashed their servers. But it was so good. I loved the announcement, and I can't wait for more. And we can probably watch Wreck-It Ralph in line, Andy, at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So,
This
That's the
is
thing,
true.
because we'll be in line a long time.
definitely. So I am really, really excited.
I really think that Comic-Con should change, they won't, but they should change it to LineCon.
Yeah, they should. They should. Let's be
Or
real.
maybe, they should just start it like a side convention as a joke, like the week before, and be like, come and stand in lines for nothing.
Yep.
Does Comic-Con have Wi-Fi? Do you have to
Yes.
bring a data
It's really crappy.
Okay.
I heard that they were changing it this year somehow.
Yeah, I heard that too, but I don't trust it.
Yeah.
Sounds like a cruel ploy.
That's okay though.
Move.
Speaking of animated movies,
Yes.
what's next? Patrick?
Speaking of animated movies, and it's only kind of it's animated, but it's half animated. Tintin 2 is finally happening. Peter Jackson is returning to direct, or actually going to direct the sequel, which was always the plan from the beginning, where Steven Spielberg would direct the first, Peter Jackson would direct the second, and they had never announced who was gonna do the third because it was going to be done as a trilogy. But Spielberg announced that it was actually happening in the New Zealand Herald last week, saying Peter was busy with The Hobbit and it took him away from Tintin, and he's doing another film for my company now. It's a secret. Nobody knows about it. But then after that, he'll do Tintin. This going back, of course, to what I was talking about earlier. I think he's doing The Fall. But I think this is a long time coming. Tintin didn't do that great here, but once again, the worldwide audience really swelled around it. Tintin is a very well-known property, apparently everywhere else but America, which is weird because we had a cartoon that we grew up on for it. But, you know. The mocap adventure film is one of my favorites of the last decade. Not kidding, I actually think it's a really fantastic movie, one that not enough people have seen. I thought that everyone was absolutely fantastic in it, and I think that it was the first motion capture film that's fully animated that way, that got rid of the uncanny valley feeling where the characters have that dead-eyed look. I think Spielberg really perfected it, and I think that the movie is just a really fun adventure film, proving that Spielberg can still do blockbuster adventure films, people who think he can't. So this is great news for me, and I think that it's a good idea for Jackson to do this. He loves technology. I think that something like this is good for him coming down from The Hobbit. So that's me.
Andy?
Patrick, how many times have you died in this
Oh,
episode?
Jesus, don't say it.
We should do a counter.
Don't say it.
I won't say it then.
You haven't seen it or you didn't like
This
it?
is a movie podcast, so Andy, go ahead.
I did not see Tintin. That didn't sound like a death sigh.
I
feel betrayed. Why are you here? Why are you here?
I don't, honestly, this part of the podcast would have been perfect for Diego or somebody. Or Sam.
I just can't stand you right now. You make me so sad.
Well,
And-
we'll be at Comic-Con together.
Okay,
We
fine.
can watch.
Put it on the list.
Yeah, put it on the list.
We can watch it while we watch or after we watch Wreck-It Ralph.
Yes. I think I have both in my accounts, so we're good. We can do that. But damn, man. And Sarah, you didn't see it either, did you?
No.
Oh, you guys are killing me. Anyway, we'll move on from that then.
Getting mad at me, but you can show her anytime.
I have to see her every day. I don't see you every day.
That's what I'm saying. Like with me, you can't do anything about it. With her, you can change it.
Yeah, I can, and I will. But, moving on from that, we've been talking a lot about Star Wars over the last few weeks. Obviously, it's like Star Wars came back or something. And there's all sorts of news circulating on the things that are going on in the Star Wars universe. And, of course, one big question as of recently was what was going to happen with the Star Wars Rebels characters, and would they be in any of the movies? Especially in light of the fact that one of the characters in Rogue One is from the Clone Wars cartoon. Speaking to Movie Phone, Simon Kinberg, who is one of the people who does the Rebels TV show and does a lot of work on the movies as well. He's producing all the new movies, and he's actually writing one of them that they haven't announced yet. And he actually was talking about how the universe is interconnected and where the Rebels characters would go. He said, I think part of the fun of the way we're building the universe is that it is interconnected between the different movies and even beyond the movies. It's something that was true in the comic books going back, the way that you'd have interconnections between characters and stories, even sometimes from DC to Marvel. I like the way that those stories are told in the larger tapestry, and also getting to work with other artists and filmmakers and writers and use their talents. I like not being by myself in a room when I work. I like having other collaborators. You're with some of the world's best. He said, what's lovely is, obviously, we've brought in characters from the Clone Wars in the second season, and we keep sort of bringing characters from the original movies and deepening the relationships between our core characters and Rebels, the Ghost Crew. So it's trying to balance two different things, like the original cast from the first season with Clone Wars, with characters from the original movies, and maybe even feeding into future movies. What do you guys think of these comments? I think that there's quite a few things that they're hinting at, and I think that there's a lot of build for why. Does the idea of connecting the cartoon to the movies excite you guys? How do you feel?
Yeah, it's exciting. It would be like because of how rich I've heard the cartoon is. I'm not caught up on the Clone Wars and all that stuff or any of the cartoon stuff, but like I want to someday, and I know that I actually do. So I'm excited that it's gonna take all that and keep it into continuity. So
yeah. For me, what's really there's a lot of things that I'm thinking about this. I think one is Ahsoka Tano is a character who people would really like to see in live action. I think that is something that is going to eventually happen. I have feelings that Snoke is actually a character that we've met in the cartoons. I think it may actually be Ezra. I think that there's a good chance that Ezra fights the dark side a lot through Rebels, and I think that it would be interesting if it was a character that we came to love who turned to the dark side, much like Vader. I think that it would be an interesting approach, and I think it would make Rebels that much better to have a connection like that. And I actually have feeling that talking about the idea of future characters, there's a big rumor going on right now, and it's one that I believe because Dave Filoni has really played into it on Twitter, is that they're introducing a character from the Star Wars Legends, which is the original extended universe canon that was discarded, that they've been teasing that not all some legends have truth, and that they were going to be introducing a character this season from the Legends timeline, which was Grand Admiral Thrawn. I think that it would be really great if Rebels introduced Thrawn as a young Imperial officer around the time of A New Hope, and then to use him 30 years later in the movies as a villain. I think that would be awesome. There was a lot of rumors that that was what was going on in Episode 8. There was a lot of people who thought that Benicio del Toro may be playing him, and a lot of people were saying that, it's a familiar character, someone you guys may know that you don't realize is going to be in the movie. So I think that's really exciting. I think that's kind of what they're hinting at. I would love that. Did I full
Definitely.
geek out? Sorry.
It's okay. We still love you,
Uh-huh.
even though you're
Yeah.
a huge nerd.
I am.
This is a safe place. Not really. But well, I think it's actually very genius because Disney loves and always will keep making money. And then the fact that they're bringing in, well, they already have brought in Clone Wars characters and now starting to bring in Star Wars Rebels characters. It's genius because people are going to go out and be like, now we have to, they're going to not have to, but they're going to get excited and go and get Star Wars Rebels and Clone Wars on, Blu-ray or DVD or whatever, or get it on iTunes and rent it. And it's just going to be like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And yes, I agree. I love Ahsoka. I think that would be awesome. She's amazing. Um, but yeah, I mean, it would be really, really cool to also have like voice actors that we know already love Star Wars, like Freddie Prinze Jr., to have him like be a part of the live action world of Star Wars and stuff like that. So definitely, I love it.
Yeah, I absolutely do too. And I think, like we've been talking about, I think that interconnectivity is kind of becoming all the rage when you look at what Marvel's doing, what DC is doing, what Universal is doing with the monsters. I think people feel there's payoff for investing in things as long as it's done correctly. It's why the Fast and the Furious series has become so popular too. They really paid off on the interconnectivity of all the movies. So I think that Star Wars doing that with the cartoons, doing it with the comics, doing it with every single thing, I think it plays a big part in why we're all so happy and so excited that it's back. Is that one, it's Star Wars with real canon now, Lucasfilm canon, and they're using different platforms to introduce different things. I guess the new Life Debt book that comes out on Tuesday, or when it comes out soon for whenever you're listening to this. I shouldn't say specific days, but Life Debt is coming out, and I'm really excited about it because I guess they're actually hinting at things about Han's past that we're probably going to see play out in the Young Han movie. And
Exactly.
so the way that they set those little stones in different places really is kind of cool, and I like that a lot. I like how they're building the Star Wars universe now. There was things in Bloodline that were hinting at things to come in Episode 8 that Rian Johnson wanted hinted at. I think that there's a real love for Star Wars here, and they really want people to feel like if they're investing in it, you don't have to read the comics, you don't have to read the books, you don't have to watch the cartoons, but for those who do, they get payoff in another way. You may not be lost, but at least you get some sort of payoff, and I think it's smart.
It's awesome. It's that little golden eggs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So with that, guys, we got one last topic that we're going to talk about, and that is Steven Spielberg, the BFG, and is Spielberg no longer a filmmaker who can make magic at the box office? This has been a topic that's been going around a lot since the BFG opened in the 5th spot over the weekend. And places like Variety saying that Spielberg was no longer a blockbuster filmmaker. He had lost his magic. And it's something I would like to call bullshit on immediately. I think that this is ridiculous in a lot of ways. I think that this comes to pointing the finger at the wrong group of people. You can't point your finger at Spielberg and go, oh, he can't make blockbuster movies anymore, when the last batch of movies he was making were not meant to be blockbusters. Bridge of Spies, Lincoln, not really blockbuster type films, but one of them made 3 to 4 times its budget back, and one made 3 times its budget back. So those movies did pretty damn well for themselves, I would have to say.
How much of that percentage was from China?
Not much. More American audiences.
I know. Spielberg. I still haven't seen BFG, but I know that, like, from the trailers and everything like that, and from word of mouth and stuff, he knows he's not gonna just like not become an awesome filmmaker. Like, he can make anything that he puts his mind to, and literally he's one of those directors that can make whatever he decides. Like, he'll just make the studio do whatever he wants. So, like, I don't know how people can say that stuff with a straight face.
Yeah, I don't understand it. And here's the thing. I think we all know what the real culprit here is. One, it was a bad release date. This was a film that should have been released during the fall. It's clearly a fall film. And two, the marketing is terrible. As someone who's seen the movie, I don't know what the hell Disney was thinking. There's nothing past the first 20 minutes, probably, that's in the trailer.
I mean, we recently got a little bit of like her and the BFG and the Queen, but
Did we?
I mean, I felt like we got that way too late.
When was it a TV spot? Because I missed that because
I'm pretty sure it was a TV spot.
okay, yeah,
But there was like a TV spot with the little girl, the BFG, and the Queen of England.
yep, yeah, okay. So the entire third act of the movie.
Yeah, and so I mean, but still, like we didn't get enough. Nothing close to what I mean that the TV spots of like because today, and I hardly watch TV, but being here in Arizona, I saw a Papa John's spot for Ghostbusters. I saw a Progressive insurance spot for
Yep.
Ghostbusters.
No
And
way.
there's just and all of them have Slimer in it, and they're all like, you know, Papa John is in like the Ghostbuster getup, and Flo from Progressive Insurance is one of the ghosts, and it's just it's
And
insane.
it's insane. And when you look at what Disney did, there was no heart behind the marketing. There was no push for this marketing. They put it just weeks after Finding Dory, which I know that they couldn't have known was going to be a monster hit that it became, but it really was still just a few weeks out from their own movie. I can't really begin to understand why they would have thought, hey, we should put our one family film against another family film. Spielberg's name is great, but when you market his movies incorrectly, it becomes a problem. And this isn't the first time that this has been a problem. There's a big reason that Rich Ross is no longer the studio head at Disney, and a big part of it plays because of Warhorse and how it was handled there. Warhorse was horribly marketed, and Spielberg was so unhappy about it that there was actually a confrontation between them. And so there's a real frustrating underscore to this that you can almost feel like Disney just didn't care. And it's like they don't care that, hey, look, we have Steven Spielberg, arguably in the top 3 filmmakers of all time, making a family movie for the first time for our studio. And we don't market it really well at all. We don't even try. We don't give it a release date where it can breathe and really do anything. It's nonsense.
It's disrespectful, really.
It is.
DSB is a children's book that people grew up with and love, and it's so sad. It's rude.
I didn't even know that until like one of the guys that I work with was freaking out about it. Like I literally am like, what is this? Because I like BFG. Obviously, I'm gonna think of like, you know, big blah. I can't say the word because Patrick already said it. And like I'm like, is that what that is? And they're like, no, it's a children's book. What do you get your mind out? Like I'm like, sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
it was the same exact thing with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. The only reason that movie did good was because, well, the writing was good and it was an animated movie.
And they marketed it correctly. I mean,
Exactly.
that's the big thing is you have to know what you're doing when it comes to marketing. And I really cannot understand what they were trying to do here. And this is why Spielberg is leaving Disney, and he took Amblin and DreamWorks with him and went back to Universal. This is why.
Really surprising because, like I said earlier, Disney loves making money.
Right?
So this is very
They're
surprising.
great at it too.
They're so good at making money. They're so good at, you know, making money and, you know, cutting this to make extra money.
Mhm.
And it's just
And
very surprising.
absolutely. And I have to say, having seen the movie, I know you guys haven't, but there was nothing in this movie that lacked Spielberg's magic. You know when you're watching a Steven Spielberg movie. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's Raiders. It doesn't matter if it's Hook. It doesn't matter if it's Schindler's List or if it's
It doesn't matter
Warhorse.
if it's
Or an
Poltergeist.
episode.
Yeah, or Poltergeist.
Or a TV episode.
Yeah, well, and that's a fair point. If even his episodes of Columbo, or the episode of Columbo he did, or Duel, that TV movie he did, You know it's Spielberg. I don't understand how anyone could think that he had lost his magic, because the entire time the BFG just, it resonated with me. I felt like the first time I watched E.T. And that's the thing. I don't understand how they didn't market this movie as a reunion from the people who brought you E.T. Because the writer
They've done banners and stuff.
They did?
Yeah, it says from the I can't remember the joke, from the blah that brought you E.T.
Okay, so they did do it. Well, it
From
was
the humans. From the humans that brought you E.T.
So
Yeah,
why
but
did
they
they
didn't,
never do
like,
that in the
push it.
trailers?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Because if I didn't even notice out on the posters or something, because I have to say the posters were not very good either, but it just drives me crazy that everyone wants to point their finger and they go, oh, look, Spielberg can't make movies anymore. He's just not a good filmmaker anymore. He's lost his magic. Why should we care about Spielberg? You're all taking Spielberg for granted. Are you kidding me? He's one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. And you throw him away like it's no big deal, and there's clearly another issue at play here.
It's the marketing.
It's the marketing. It's how it was treated, and yet for some reason everyone wants to throw him under the bus. And it's the same thing that's happened all summer when no one wants sequels, and then Finding Dory and The Conjuring rip up the box office.
Exactly.
It makes no sense, and I get frustrated. I get really frustrated.
Frustrating.
It's to get
It is.
headlines. It's just to get clicks.
It
That's
is.
really all it is anymore.
Click,
And,
click,
like,
click, 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 click.
Yeah,
Exactly. A lot of these reporters are just about like, oh, okay, well, let's write this headline, and the headline is just like a little askew just to make sure that you click, and then you find out it's like, oh,
It's
No, okay.
purposely to infuriate people, because then they start commenting, and it becomes a vicious circle. But it
and
sucks
they
because
get shared, and yeah.
yeah, and I mean, we played right into it. Here we are talking about it. I mean, obviously, but
Damn you.
I know, damn me, I played right into this. But it pisses me off when people want to point fingers at Spielberg. And anyone who's listened long enough, Spielberg is my favorite filmmaker next to Alfred Hitchcock. I mean, yes, it's true, and I love his movies. I love him, and I think he's a great filmmaker. He's had missteps, though. I won't lie about that. But the BFG was not one of them, and it makes me mad that that's where the finger pointing is going right now, is at him. It had nothing to do with how he made the movie. This is one of his best movies in a while. He hadn't made a family film in a long time. Probably Tintin was the last one, but before that, it'd been a while.
Yeah. You know what, though? Going back to what you were saying of, you said it was coming from the people who presented E.T. It was a reunion.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I don't watch much TV, but watching TV here in Arizona, I also noticed that there was a behind-the-scenes special for the Ghostbusters. If they would have done that for the BFG, just a little one, just like that, just to show, like, the makings and the inner mechanisms of how BFG was made, I think they would have gotten.
ABC should have done something. They're doing a documentary about Star Wars. They've done documentaries for every phase of Marvel so far.
I just don't get it. I don't understand why Disney
sucks.
thought this was just the movie will make money, and okay.
I don't know. I have to wonder how it's going to... I mean, I guess with Indiana Jones 5, it'll be a little different. He's working directly with Lucasfilm, not necessarily Disney. But it still sucks.
More Spielberg stuff to look forward to with Indiana Jones 5.
We have a lot to look forward to. First, we have to look forward to Ready Player One. Sorry, Diego, you're the only person in the world not excited for that. Or I guess he kind of was more excited after the last episode. But anyway, he's doing Ready Player One, and I think that Ready Player One is going to do very well, and it's going to, go against everything that these blogs and stuff have been posting the last week about Spielberg. And from me to you guys, if you haven't seen the BFG because you thought the marketing was bad, just go see the movie. I can't recommend to you guys enough to just go see the movie.
It's a good book, too.
It's a great book, but it's a better movie, I think.
Exactly. So go see it.
If you love Spielberg, you owe it to yourself to see it. You're going to feel the nostalgia and the love that you felt when you watched E.T., when you watched Hook, when you watched any of the movies, Poltergeist, Back to the Future, those old Amblin films that we all grew up with. It's classic Amblin. And you can tell Spielberg is so passionate about making this. He's been trying to make it for years. He finally did it. Technology caught up with the point that he could, and it's a really, really magnificent experience. I went with my dad. He and I have bonded over Spielberg for as long as I can remember, and we both walked out with big grins on our faces. It felt like it was like watching E.T. And I can't recommend it enough. It's one of the best films of the year. It's going to go down as a movie that I think will find a life on home video and digital. I just think that Disney mucked up the marketing and just really pushed this thing under the bus and just kind of let it get run over by everything else. And I think that sucks.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts with that, you guys?
Oh, I just want more Spielberg.
Yeah, that sounds good to me too.
Awesome. So with that, guys, we will go ahead and wrap up this episode of Real Film Chatter. Of course, as we've been talking about all episode, in 2 weeks, we will be down at Comic-Con on Wednesday night. On preview night, we are going to be at Game of Bloggers, which is going to be down in the Gaslamp area. It's at one of the bars over by Petco Park. If you guys are so inclined, you can come and see us. It'll be Wednesday night from, I believe, 9 to 11 or 9 to 12. So that is going to be a lot of fun. It'll be after the doors have closed of preview night itself. We are looking forward to that. I cannot wait to be at Comic-Con, you guys. I can't wait to just talk movies and have fun and hang out with all my friends and seeing all the movie geeks and all the nerds from around the world who come together for this one weekend that is so magnificent and so much fun. I cannot wait, you guys. It's going to be a blast. And I can't wait. And it's going to be fun to share it with Sarah, who's never been. It's going to be fun to share it with Andy, who I've never been with, and we've gone many times not knowing each other until then. So this is going to be a great weekend. Are you guys as excited as I am?
Yeah, it's the best 5 days of the year.
Yeah, right next to Christmas.
FYI, if any of you guys see us on the floor, don't be scared to approach us and give us a high five, because we would not be here without our fans. You would not.
Absolutely, and that is very true.
Take a selfie with me because I'll be in charge of Snapchat.
Snapchat, yes.
We should definitely have that started, and we'll try to get it started by maybe next Saturday or something like that.
Yeah.
We're going to try.
All right. So with that, guys, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Sarah, where can everyone find you online?
I am...
Oh, I thought you said sir. Sorry.
Oh,
Continue.
You can be Sarah.
No, I thought you said sir. Sorry. My bad.
You can find me on Twitter at Princess Poet SB. I loved the episode tonight. Thank you guys so much for having me.
And Andy, where can everyone find you?
On Twitter at The Talking Can, and then also don't forget to follow at Beware the Gnome. It's gonna follow the production of a gnome short that I wrote, and get super excited because I have 28 gnomes surrounding me right now, and it's kind of freaking my friend out, I'm sure. So yeah.
Yeah, that scared me on Snapchat that day.
All right, guys. And, of course, you can find me on Twitter at PJ_Campbell or at Facebook at Patrick Campbell _PJ. Go ahead and find Real Film Chatter on iTunes, where you guys can subscribe, rate, and review the show. This is very important because the more you guys rate and review it, the higher it pushes it up the iTunes stream so people can find the show. You know, people who aren't listening to it already. And, of course, guys, please share the show. Thank you guys so much for commenting and, you know, enjoying the series. Thank you for the emails. If you guys want to ask us any questions, you can email us at realfilmchatter@gmail.com, REEL Film Chatter. And, of course, you can tweet at us at realfilmchatter as well, REEL Film Chatter, or our personal accounts. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back here next Sunday talking all things movies with you guys. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll see you next week, guys. Have a great week and have fun at the movies. See ya.
Alien 3.
Bye.
Level 8.
Shut up and sit down.